All right, welcome to today's masterclass. I'm ready to jump right in because I'm looking forward to teaching you how to make sure that the children in your family, your children, and your children's children, your children's children's children are never broke again. The Bible says that we are supposed to leave an inheritance for our children and their children and their children. So I'm going to jump right in. The difference between rich and poor, it isn't money. I know we've been conditioned to think that it's money, but it isn't money. It's mindset, it's habits, it's decision making, it's understanding how how the poor think, is understanding how the rich think. It's not trading time for money. Is valuing time more. So I just want to start out with just some mindset things on how poor people think. So how poor people think and how rich people think. And I want you to put a 1 in the chat if I want you to put a 1 in the chat if I say 1, and I want you to put a 2 in the chat if I say 2, if that's your mindset. So if I say 1, I want you to put a 1. If I say 2, I want you to put a 2. All right. So this is a mindset. I need to work harder for money. I need to work harder for more money. That's number 1. If that's how you think, I want you to put a 1 in the chat. If this is how you think, I need to make my money work for me. Number 2, I want you to put a 2 in the chat. All right, number 1, I need to trade my time for money. I need to go get a job because I need more money. I need a higher salary. I need a better job. So I want you to put a number 1. Put a number 2 if I need to trade money for time. I need to invest. I need to figure out a way to do automation. I need systems. I want you to put a 2 in the chat. All right, put a 1 in the chat if your mindset is I can't afford it, and you tell your kids I can't afford it. I can't afford it, and that's what you're conditioning to tell your mind. I want you to put a 2 in the chat if your mindset is how can I afford it? How can I afford it? So you figure out a way to afford it. All right. I want you to put a 1 in the chat if your mindset is focusing on short-term survival. So just paying a light bill, just paying rent, just paying a car note, just really living day to day. I want you to put a 2 in the chat if your focus is on long-term wealth building. So you're strategic about the decisions that you make. You're strategic about and you want to be more intentional about spending money and investing money. I want you to put a 1 in the chat if you see debt as a bad if you see debt. This is how I grew up. If you see debt as bad and you try to avoid debt completely, so you're scared of debt, you're scared of taking risks, you're scared of credit cards, you're scared of getting funding, you're scared of taking equity out of your house to invest, you're scared of those things. I want you to put a 2 in the chat if you're learning that there is a thing called good debt, and if you leverage good debt to buy assets, you can build wealth. All right, I want you to put a 1 in the chat if you think saving money will make you rich. If you think saving your way to money will make you rich, I want you to put a 1 in the chat. I want you to put a 2 in the chat if you understand that investing money is going to help you to grow wealth. I want you to put a 2 in the chat if investing money, not saving money, is going to help you to grow wealth. My billionaire mentor says you can't save your way to being a millionaire. All right, I want you to put a 1 in the chat if you have a fear of taking risks and you are strategic and you like to play it safe. All right, I want you to put a 2 in the chat if you understand that smart risks equal big rewards. All right, I see a lot of tools. All right, I want you to put a 1 in the chat if you blame the system, you blame the government, and you blame that the fact that I don't have good luck. I want you to put a 2 in the chat if you take full responsibility for your financial success. You take full. It's not about how you grew up. It's not about the system. It's not about what color you are. It's not about the government. It's not about luck. It's not about any of those things. It's about the decisions that you make every day. All right, I want you to put a 1 in the chat. If your mindset is to work for money, to get a job, to paycheck, to live paycheck to paycheck. A 2 in the chat. If you make money, you want to make money in your sleep. So you want to invest. You want to invest in businesses, and you understand that the average business doesn't even make money for the first few years. So you got to invest in stocks and real estate and have a portfolio and understand money management. All right, I'm almost done with the warm-up. I want you to put a 1 in the chat if you have the lottery mentality. So you hoping to get rich. You hoping for a get rich quick scheme. Number 2, I want you to put a 2 in the chat if you have an ownership mentality. So you have decided that you're going to create wealth through action, through investing. All right. And now I'm almost done. It's my last one. Put a 1 in the chat if you surround yourself with other broke people. So when you look around, the people around you, your family and your friends, they all broke. So broke people can't help. They say if you hang around with 7 broke people, you're gonna be the 8th. All right, now I want you to put the 2 in the chat. If you're working on expanding your network to be successful, wealthy, minded individuals, because you understand that your network is your net worth. All right, I see a lot of tools. All right, I'm excited. All right, so ultimately, I'm going to be giving you the roadmap on how to start positioning your children to be wealthy, not just with a bank account, that's not wealth. Wealth starts in your mind. Wealth starts with the words that we hear as kids. Wealth starts with our habits. Wealth starts with our daily disciplines. That's where wealth starts. Many of us didn't come from those childhoods and those mindsets, so we don't understand it. So that's why I've taken a lot of time. Even before I made my first million, I started studying millionaires and where they put their money and how they invested and the psychology behind it and how most people condition us to believe that millionaires are born with silver spoons in their mouth and their kids born with silver spoon. In our reality, over 90% of the millionaires were not born rich, but their habits and their daily disciplines is what got them there. So, and just speaking it and just talking it is not going to make you wealthy. Just saying, oh, I'm going to be rich, and you can't even manage the $15 that you have, that's not going to help you. And I'm going to be rich, and you're not understanding stocks, and you're not understanding real estate, and you're not understanding where most wealthy people put their money. They don't put their money in cars. Rarely do you see a wealthy person driving a Lamborghini. If they're driving a Lamborghini somewhere, their assets are paying for this liability. They don't go buy this liability and then try to figure out how they go pay for it. All right. So many people want this G-Wagon. Put a 7 in the chat if this is one of your dream cars is a G-Wagon. Put a 7 in the chat if this is one of your dream cars is a G-Wagon. Well, wealthy people figure out, well, how can one of my businesses pay for this G-Wagon? How can my rental properties? How can my investments? How can my Bitcoin? How can my stock portfolio? How can I find something to pay for this? I'm not going to go work a job to pay for a car. All right. I'm not going to go work a job to go pay for a car. I'm going to let my investments pay for this car. All right. So let's jump right in. So again, poor people trade their time for money. So they work a 9 to 5. They're working a hourly salary. They're working overtime, more overtime. If I could just work more overtime, I could. How many people you know that have been working overtime all their life and they still don't have no more? They net worth is still the same. They still living check to check. Put a yes or a no in the chat. If you know people that have been working overtime, been talking about all these jobs they get all these degrees, and they still are on the road of dying broke and not leaving a dime for their children's children. The good word says a good man leaves an inheritance for his children and his children's children. So ultimately, I know people that work their entire life and they retire broke. They didn't have no passive income streams. They had limited growth potential. They were working for money. They worked overtime, but they still didn't have anything more. They had a poor mindset. 40, 60 hours working a job, and then the rest of my time I'm gonna go waste it playing games or watching games and rooting for other people that they got more money than me. It's nothing to celebrate. It's nothing to celebrate. You don't have nothing to leave the people coming behind you. The Bible says a good man leaves an inheritance for his children, his children's children. So we can't say, oh, well, I wasn't taught. That's not the way I grew up, coach. Well, it's not the way I grew up either. But we got access to more information now than ever before. We're not in the 80s or the 70s or the 60s or even the early 2000s. We have information to a plethora of information. So we literally can get information in seconds. We literally can build relationships with people in seconds. So it's no longer a matter of we don't have the information available to us. Rich people make money work for them. So they use money to buy income producing assets. They leverage OPM, other people's money. They have passive income, stocks, bonds, mutual funds. If I'm saying all these things and you don't know what they are, you can't blame nobody. If you don't know what a stock is, what a stock dividend is, if you don't know what an IRA or mutual fund is, if you don't know what a bond is, if you don't know how to start a real estate portfolio or a business portfolio, that's why I'm so glad that you're here, because I'm about to take you down the journey. Because you owe the people that are coming behind you the honor of learning this information so that literally you can make money in your sleep and you can pass it down. And literally, what would your life have been like if you guaranteed had a $10,000 a month coming in from the time you were born to the time to right now, $10,000 a month guaranteed coming in through your trust fund? How would your life have been different? How would your life have been different if by the time you turn 18, you had a trust fund that said, oh, as long as they do this, they will get this. As long as she does this, she will get this. As long as he does this, he will get this. So imagine you had a trust fund that said, as long as he goes to financial literacy classes, as long as she maintains this level of education, as long as she does this, as long as she invests in this, she'll have a guaranteed $10,000 coming in every month from the fund, from the trust fund. All right, so let's jump into class. I'm excited about everybody that's on here. It's going to be an amazing class. All right, so let's jump in. So how to make sure that your children never go broke again. Let's put together that blueprint. What does that blueprint look like? How to make sure that my children never go broke again. All right, so ultimately, I gotta start teaching my children that money is a tool, is not a goal. So money is a tool, is not a goal. So if I teach my children that money is a goal, then the goal is gonna be to see how I can exchange my time for money. But wealthy people teach their children that money is a tool, so that money can help me to make more money. So I got to figure out how to utilize my time to get more money. I got to learn that I can never trade my time for money, but I can trade I can't trade my time to build assets. I got to understand that and teach my children that we do need multiple streams of income, but we need multiple financial security. I got to teach my children a different mindset. The rich don't work for money. They make money work for them. But the poor work for money. If you ask any poor person right now, what is going to change your life? Well, if I could just get a better job. If I just made $15 more, coach, I got me a good job. you're never gonna make more than them people that you working for. So how do you think that you're gonna build wealth unless you take that money that you're trading your time for and you're investing into something that's gonna make you more money? All right, so also the rich, the poor, the difference between the rich and the poor is learning how to invest. So the poor think that they have to save. The rich understand that it's not about saving, it's about investing. The rich understand the difference between good debt and bad debt. The rich teach their children, and when I say rich, I'm not talking about wealthy people. I'm talking about rich-minded people. So right now, your bank account may not be in the 6, 7, 8, 9 figures, but I'm going to give you some principles on just how to change the way that you speak to your children. You may not have any children. It may be your grandchildren. It may be your nieces. It may be your nephews. It may be children in your church. It may be children in your community. But this is information I'm going to teach you how to change the narrative of our children. All right. So also the wealthy minded people teach their children how to own assets, how inflation reduces the value of money. And when you teach your children about compound, in order to teach your children, you got to learn this stuff yourself. But when you teach your children about compound interest, about inflation, then that's you 50% of the way there. All right. So the mindset is your beliefs create reality. So teaching your kids, and we're going to go through some things in just a few minutes on how we can start teaching our children as they grow up the reality of their beliefs. How wealth starts with the mind before it starts with a bank account. So when we don't teach them the mindset part, but we teach them, oh well, I give my kids a allowance and they put it in a bank account, savings account. That's not teaching them wealth. That's not teaching them wealth. Oh, I pay them. That's still working for money. You got to do your chores for money. And then I'm going to give it to you to put in a bank account to not make any interest and still not be a millionaire by the time you're 21. That's not teaching them. That's not teaching them anything but saving. And ultimately, if they don't know finance and they don't understand mindset, saving money is still not going to help them to become wealthy. Wealth starts with the mind. All right. So never say, I can't afford it to your children. Instead, you're going to say, how can I afford it? How can we afford it? Let's figure out a way how we can afford it. Always think in terms of opportunity, not obstacles. So we got to think of everything as an opportunity, not an obstacle. Failure equals learning. And ultimately, let's go deep in. All right. So my objective in this masterclass is to ensure that your children are financially secure for life. So that means that you got to start transforming your mind today. My ultimate goal is to teach you about money, business, and investments for your children so that you could teach them about money, business, and investments. The reason why many of us didn't grow up as trust fund babies is because our parents and our grandparents were not taught that, and they did not know those tools. If they were taught those tools, then I'm sure they would have taught us those tools. So now that you're learning those tools, now you're able to teach those tools within your family. And then also how to set up trust, how to set up businesses, and how to set up tax-free accounts. And then I'm also going to be instilling you the mindset of millionaires from birth. So the 5 steps that we're going to go through is we're going to start with a trust. So it all starts with the foundation of a trust. Some of you may say, hey, coach, I have a trust. Well, if you have a trust and your children still ain't on track to be millionaires by the time they're 21 because you don't have the resources, then a trust is not going to help you. If you don't have anything in your trust that's making you money, then a trust is just a trust. You got to fund the trust. Michael Jackson had a trust, and literally his family had to go through probate court because he never put anything in it because his time ran out. He didn't know he was going to die. So index funds. All right. So we're going to talk about index funds, custodial accounts, how to grow tax-free money, how to grow money tax-free inside custodial accounts, what type of custodial accounts you should have for your children. And then we're going to talk about the business ownership. So I want you, whatever child that's in your family, I want you to put inside the chat, I want you to put how many children are in your family. When I say children, I mean under 21. How many kids are in your family under 21? All right, from birth to 21. I want you to tell me how many kids are in your family, your nieces, your nephews, your grandkids, your children, your cousins. I want you to put in the chat how many are in your family. All right, so they all should have businesses. I don't care how young they are. They should have a business. They should earn how to. They should earn. The money goes into their business. Their birthdays, business. Birthday gifts, business. Christmas gifts goes into their business. All right, and then we're able to write off those expenses, and then they're able to learn true entrepreneurship. We don't start at 21 trying to teach our kids unless we don't know until they're 21. Now, if some of you are saying, "Hey, I got 8, 9, 6, 3, 2 children or youth in my family," you're learning this information. So we got to start. We got to know better is to do better. Life insurance policies. We're gonna go a little bit over infinite banking. So how to become their own bank, or how to your family to become their own bank, and then how to set that up, and then financial education. So we should be having monthly family meetings where we're able to teach and reinforce the information that we're going to be learning here today. All right, so the first section is how to make each child a trust fund baby. Well, how do we do that? Well, step number 1 is we're going to set up a family trust. So we're going to create that trust. We're going to put assets into that trust. We're going to place our real estate as we get it into that trust. We're going to place our businesses and our bank accounts into that trust. We're going to add what's called a irrevocable life insurance trust. This is for long-term security. So what this does is this allows us to be more proactive by having all of these things in place, so that we are in alignment with what we need to have set up. So having that set up it helps our children to start learning more about reducing, taxes and protecting assets and having control over the things that they have. So if you were taught something for 21 years, that's going to be in your DNA. If you were taught business meetings and investing and business credit and certain financial terms and all of these things, you would be an expert by now. All right, so let's keep going. All right, so now we gotta make it a little bigger so you can see. Hold on. So now that we have set up our trust, now we gotta assign our beneficiaries and our trustees. So the name of the trustee is you're gonna put your children on the trust. All right, they can't be trustees until they're 18, but they can be beneficiaries. So we're gonna set some type of parameters and rules for our children. All right, so we can say inside of this trust, because now we got to our legacy is now building this so that every generation after us can have the blueprint. Well, they don't know what's in your head, so we got to put it into a contract. The trust is the contract. So number 1, we can say that that our children, or the beneficiary, let's call them the beneficiaries. The beneficiary must own or operate a profitable business for at least 2 years. All right, so that's a requirement of the trust. The beneficiary must graduate from college or complete a trade certification. That could be a requirement of the trust. The beneficiary must complete financial literacy courses before access is granted. That could be a condition of the trust. The beneficiary can use trust funds to purchase assets, real estate, stocks, businesses. That's a condition of the trust. The beneficiary must contribute at least 10% of the trust disbursements to charity or investments. That's a condition of the trust. The beneficiary cannot access full trust funds until the age of 30 with incremental payouts at age 21, age 25, and age 30. That's a condition of the trust. It's all based upon your feelings and how you want to build it. The beneficiary must attend annual financial planning meetings with a trustee. That's a condition. The beneficiary must borrow against trust funds only for business ventures, real estate, and education. The beneficiary must show proof of responsible money management before major withdrawals. The beneficiary, we got to teach our children money management before we can expect that they're going to do and have money management. The beneficiary must show the beneficiary cannot marry without a prenuptial agreement protecting trust assets. The beneficiary must maintain a minimum of a credit score of 750 to access large distributions. Y'all picking up what I'm putting down? The beneficiary must not have any outstanding personal debt before receiving a lump sum. The beneficiary is required to invest a portion of each trust distribution into passive income streams. The beneficiary must submit an annual wealth management plan for the trustee's approval. These are some requirements that you can add to your trust to make sure that the beneficiary, which is your children or your niece or your nephew or grandchildren, are now able to adhere to certain guidelines. All right, now step number 3 is now we got to protect the family business. So we put that inside what's called a dynasty trust. A dynasty trust is gonna outlive you and probably your children. It's 100 plus years old. It teaches your children and your kids how to preserve, not just to spend wealth, and it makes them to have to abide by certain rules and regulations. All right, so the next step I want to go over is how to make your children millionaires by the age of 21. So we're gonna start them out with an index fund. An index fund is where it could be in the S&P 500. It could be, it's typically connected to the S&P 500. All right, so what we do is we're going to open what's called an IUL. All right, Index Universal Life Insurance Policy. That Index Universal Life Insurance Policy has a death benefit as well. It also has a living benefit. You're able to grow tax-free benefits, no market losses. So in your mind, let's not think like a poor person. In your mind, well, what happens if I put all this money in a coach and then I lose my child loses at 18 because the market drops? Well, it has no market losses. So you got to research an IUL. All right, it's protected. And we don't have time to go into IUL training, but do some research on IUL. You're also able to borrow against it for real estate, for businesses, and for education. So if your child chooses to go to college, you can get the money out of the IUL. If your child chooses to start their own business at the age of 18 or 21, they can get the money out of the IUL. But the IUL is always compounding and making money for them. All right, so just say, for instance, you deposit in $200 to $500 a month for your child. And every time, instead of buying all these games and designer clothes that they won't even know nothing about by the time they 18, 21, imagine if many of us, I grew up, my mother dressed me very nice and I wore designer things. But imagine if I had all that money by the time I was 21. So imagine she gave me access to a fund, a trust fund at the age of 21. It said, I've started this for you when you were born. You have access to it. It has $1 million in it. I ain't gonna be thinking nothing about none of them designer clothes. Because I have 21 years of compounded education, financial education. I'm gonna be trying to figure out how I can make that $1 million in that trust fund $100 million. So I'm gonna be much further ahead of my peers. So when we start thinking about these things, the games and the clothes and the toys and all of those things that don't mean anything, not saying that children, I believe children should have some of those things, but there should be a balance. So imagine putting $200 to $500 into an index account every single month. By the time your child is 21, they're a millionaire. All right, we're going to break some of those numbers down in just a few minutes. All right, so, and then I'm going to open up a custodial account, a custodial Roth account, which is a tax-free account and you're able to put long-term investments in it, stocks, EFTs, all of those things. So custodial account allows you to be able to control it while your child is under 18, and when they reach of age, now they have total access to it. And then, well, if there's conditions of the trust, then they have to buy those conditions of the trust. All right, step number 3 is a custodial investment account. So that could be a UTMA or a UGMA. So UTMA is a Uniform Transfer to Minors Act, or the UGMA, which is a Uniform Gifts to Minors Act, which allows you to invest in various assets for your child's future. So it's you building their portfolio for them. These accounts are managed by a custodian, which is you, until the child reaches of age, which is 18 to 21. It depends on whatever the state that they're in. All right. So how does it work? Well, you open up a custodial account, so you can go through a lot of people. A lot of my mentees go through M1 Finance, or you could go through Fidelity. You could go through Vanguard. You could go through Charles Schwab. So you have a custodial account. You fund that custodial account with an initial $500 or more. All right. I'm gonna also show you in just a few minutes. So make sure you get your pen and paper. I'm gonna show you how you could put $12,000 to $15,000 into an account one time when your child is born, and by the time they're 21, they'll be a multimillionaire. I'm gonna show you that in just a minute. So get your pen and paper, because I'm gonna give you the numbers. Numbers don't lie. All right. The second thing is you're gonna invest what's called a high growth asset. And that 12 to 15,000, you don't have to put nothing else in there for the rest of the 21 years. You just let that compound. Albert Einstein said compound interest is the best invention ever made by men. All right, so you're going to invest in high growth assets. So the stock market, remember we talked about the S&P 500, dividend stocks. So that's earning money from that and reinvesting it, or real estate investment trusts, which is another form of high yield investments. And then the third thing is letting the dividends compound for over 21 years. So the benefit is that most people want to get rich fast. Well, we know our kids are going to make it to see 18 to 21, and it happens rather fast. So if they're able to earn during this process and see the earning that they're doing, not just, I'm going to give this to them. No, they need to see their portfolio so they can understand and appreciate it throughout their entire life. All right. So this is how it works. All right. So ultimately, the next step is going to be to set up our child's business. All right. So that we're going to set up an LLC for them. And we're going to register that LLC and put it inside of the trust. We're going to make sure that the child is an employee or a shareholder of that business. All right. So when we go on vacations, we're able to write that off. We're able to write that off. All right. Because the child is now an employee of that LLC. When you start building business credit, now you have 21 years of business credit. When you get that child their first car, now you're able to buy it in their business name and write it off. When you give that child a weekly or a monthly stipend or paycheck, now you're able to help them to be more organized with their finances. All right. Then step number 2, as I said, you're going to pay them through the business. So you're going to set up a payroll system and pay them. If you pay a child up to $12,950 a year, is tax-free. So you pay them through the business, that's tax-free. So you don't have to worry about them paying taxes on it. But what happens is, over the course of 10, 20, 15 years, now your child has a business that's now building cash flow. That now has a relationship with banks, that now has financials. So when that child, let's call them, when that trust fund baby now becomes of age, now they have a business. It's over 10 years old. Now they have a business bank account. Now they know how to manage their finances. Now they have a business that now they can go borrow money off of, because now they have good credit. So we're setting them up for something that we always, I believe that because many of, let me speak this. I believe because many people didn't have these tools, they send their children off to college or to school because hoping that their children will learn the business principles that they didn't know. So, but whereas school and business school doesn't teach these things. So they're teaching your child how to be a worker. So wealthy people, when they send their children to school, they're not sending their children to school to be workers. They're sending their children to school to build their network. And they understand that their network are people that they can call when they need to raise money, or people that they can call when they need to get certain things done, whether it be political, whether it be other resources that they need for business or opportunities, or expanding their network so that they're able to see things from another level. So I believe, this is my belief, and again, you may disagree, and it's totally fine, but I believe that people send their children to school, to higher education, to learn the things that they don't feel like they were able to teach their children. But when you're able to teach your children these things from birth, then I don't have to send my child to business school to learn how to run a business. I'm taking them throughout their entire life to shadow business owners. They have their own business. They have their own product. They have their own, they're going through their own marketing strategy plans, and they're learning how to do sales as kids because they're selling lemonade, or they're selling books, or they're selling t-shirts, or whatever they're selling. So step number 3 is teaching business and financial principles. So holding monthly meetings, that's very important. So having a business meeting, a board meeting with your family every single month, teaching some level of business, teaching them how to profit, teaching expenses, teaching investing. And then we're going to go into some games in just a few minutes. So we also can play family games, which now start teaching these things as well, so that it doesn't feel like it's forced, you know. So I was in the American Express Lounge recently, and I met a guy, and we were sitting at the bar, you know, passing time by, watching the game. And I asked him a question. I said, you know, when did your parents start teaching you about financial literacy? I teach financial literacy. He was like 24 years old, multimillionaire, had his own business, showed me his credit score. He was like an 840. So I was very impressed. So I said, when did your parents? He said, well, as a kid, my dad set me down. We started having business meetings every single month. He said he then also added me onto some of his credit cards. He gave me a credit card, and I had to work to pay the credit card off, but he showed me every month the invoice. He set me up with a business. When I turned 21, turned the business over to me. Now I have a transport trucking company. I'm able to get millions of dollars from the bank as a line of credit. I have an 800 credit score. So he said, I didn't choose to go to higher education. He said, but I do. I asked my dad, will he pay for a mentorship program for me? So I went and I got into a mentorship program from a multi-millionaire. I had the resources because I had it saved up. It was in the stock market. He said, and now I'm a multi-millionaire. He said, I also make resources with my YouTube page. I have a YouTube page where I share all this information. He said, so I make a dividend from that as well. All that money goes into the trust, and I am setting things up now for my children, even though I don't have children. All right, so let's keep going. All right, so now, how do we prepare our children to have a millionaire mindset? Well, we got to teach them financial literacy. We talked about that. So we're going to introduce them to Rich Dad, Poor Dad. They also have Rich Dad, Poor Dad for kids, The Millionaire Next Door. So when we're reading bedtime stories, when we're reading books, we're reading our children information and teaching them terms. And I love Derek Grace. If you don't follow Derek Grace, follow him. He also has a board game, but he teaches his children financial literacy. Also, another little boy, you can follow him as well. His name is Ryan. Ryan that does the toys. Yes, Ryan, he's a multimillionaire. But this little kid, his name is Ryan, and he has a bus, and he teaches financial literacy. Also, I met 2 little girls at InvestFest. They teach financial literacy. So we can't say our kids are too young to learn this information. I'm meeting 8, 9-year-olds that can out-talk me in financial literacy. So this information. All right. So the next thing is to play money games with them. so that they can understand the principles of money, business games, monopoly, cash flow one-on-one, the stock market game. Give them real money so that they can manage their initiatives when they want things, so they can understand the value of money. Have financial conversations with them. Explain to them investing and taxes and passive income. Not just about what's going on social media. Let's get on TikTok and do all these different things that's not going to draw us any money. All right, let's encourage them to set financial goals early. All right, so now let's break it down by age. So what I did was I broke it down by age. So to ensure your child is a millionaire by the age of 21, you need to have what's called a multi-strategy wealth building plan. So that means that they need to have stocks, they need to have a business, they need to understand financial literacy. They need to because I meet a lot of people, they say, well, my parent was doing well. We grew up well, coach, but now I'm older and now I don't know what to do because they never taught me what to do. We just grew up well. So step number one is to start early. So teaching them the power of compound interest. So by the age of 7, we should be building a lot of these custodial principles that I talked about today. So if 80% of their portfolio is the S&P 500, the S&P 500 has went up 10% every year since the inception. So there is no failure. All right. So 10% in what's called dividend stock, and 10% could be in what's called a real estate investment trust. All right. So if you put I'm gonna break those numbers down in a second. All right. Open the IUL. That needs to be a part of that portfolio. We talked about that. By the age between 7 and 14, leveraging those assets to be high volume assets. So opening a team brokerage account with Fidelity or Robinhood, teaching them stocks, teaching them stock trading, teaching them about money, investing, assets early, teaching them about their business and ownership and real estate, and then the IUL. So you literally can borrow from the IUL. So between the ages 10 to 14, hey son, hey daughter, we about to go buy a house. We about to go buy some land. I'm about to start teaching you. You own this strip mall. You own this rental property. We can borrow against the IUL that you paid into for 15 years of their life, and now go borrow against it to buy real estate that is going to now grow them money as well. So imagine in 10, 15 years, your child has some real estate. In 10, 15 years, the equity in that real estate is going to be worth so much more. All right. And some real estate that's paying them a dividend every single month, not a house that y'all going to live bigger. No, income producing real estate. All right. So by the ages 14 to 18, teaching them about getting them an LLC so that they have a true business, so they can have an Amazon store, a Shopify store. They can have a property management for their rental properties that you purchase them. You can teach them wholesaling. You can teach them how to get a dealer's license and how to flip cars, or how to start a dealer franchise and have other dealerships pay them. You can teach them how to land flip and how to literally buy land, how to subdivide it, how to flip it. You can teach them online businesses like YouTube or digital products or course creation. I've been going down this rabbit hole studying Mr. Beast and his story. And Mr. Beast and his story is phenomenal. He's the number one YouTuber, makes billions of dollars, started when he was somewhere like in the 12, 13-year-old range, wasn't getting any views, but he was just consistent. Didn't have the support of his mother. His mother told him he needed to go to school. He decided he didn't want to. He tried to go to school, but realized school wasn't for him. And literally, he's a billionaire. And I love him because he gives away things. He's philanthropy. When you start studying wealthy people, because he has so many core values. So he gives. So he has so many core values that he gives, and he understands the nature of reciprocity. So reciprocity is when you give, knowing that it's going to come back. And it may not come back from that person, but when you start studying philanthropists, when most billionaires are philanthropists, they're givers. So teaching our children this at an early age so that they understand the more I give, the more I'll give back. So setting them up with the foundation or having their business once a month, go feed the hungry or go volunteer or go give away half of what the business has made. That's philanthropy. All right. So another good reason for having a business is tax write-offs and funding. that portfolio is able to fund stocks and real estate and all of those investments. All right, so this is what it looks like. All right, so let's go to, this is what it looks like. So if we start out, by the time our children and our family, by the time they're 18, 21 years old, they'll have in stocks, they'll have over $480,000. This is just by putting a few $100s in every single month. And then at a certain age, putting that money into real estate so they now can compound more. IUL cash value over 250,000 or more. Real estate equity over 250,000 or more. Business and investments is worth over 100,000. So now their net worth is over $1 million. All right, and then we're gonna go through some other ways as well. This is another one. So this is the UTMA, just 250 or $500 every single month. Projected value over $1 million. IUL over $500,000. Real estate. So these are all ways that ultimately we can make sure that our children are in a better position. So I told you, take out your pen and pad. I want to take you through some things real quick. All right, so you have, just say this is a initial investment of $15,000. So this is what I call the one-time investment at birth. One-time investment. You never have to invest in nothing else. So that investment, let me go through here. Hold on a second. That investment, you're investing $15,000. This could be when they're born, or I want to see y'all. All right. So this could be when they're born, or if your child is 15 now, then we got some work to do. All right. If your child is older than the newborn, we got some work to do. All right. Initial investment is $15,000. Monthly contribution, 0. You're writing this down. Annual return, 8%. The S&P 500 has been over 8% in the last since forever. All right. Years invested, 30. Results at the age of 30 is 1.5 million. All right, that's with just $15,000 just sitting, not in a savings account in a bank, sitting in the market, sitting in an index account, sitting in a compound account. All right, the second one is called let's call it money investing until 21. So just say we're investing until the age of 21 with a 10% return, ROI. So initial investment, 0. If you're writing this down, it should be initial investment, 0. Monthly contribution, $200. Annual return, 10%. So S&P 500 is around 8 to 10%. Years invested, 21 years. At the age of 21, you'll have about 150,000 or more inside the brokerage account. If they keep it in there to the age of 30, it'll be about $387. That's just $200 a month. All right, compounding over time. Let's do the third strategy, which is what's called the high contribution strategy. All right, so this is high contribution until the age of 18. So the initial investment is going to be 0. The monthly contribution is $500. The annual ROI for aggressive returns investments is 12%. And then years invested is going to be 18 years. The result at the age of 18 is going to be about $400,000. That's what they'll have. If they leave it, that same $360,000, if they leave it in an account until they turn 30, they will have $1.4 million. Remember, we can borrow against it. We can leverage against it. So now we have a pool of capital to make more money with. All right. So ultimately, this is the blueprint that my billionaire mentor and many of his friends have used the blueprint that I have taught, and it has helped a lot of my mentees to be on track to teaching their kids. All right, by the age 14 to 15, just say, again, we talked about the Amazon store, the e-commerce store, the YouTube platform where they're able to make dividends. All right, now let's talk about some of the financial education requirements. So from the ages 5 to 10, we're going to teach them basic money concepts: saving, spending, investing. The ages 11 to 14, we're going to teach them about the stock market, basics, budgeting, businesses. The ages 15 to 18, we're going to teach them about taxes and credit and real estate and entrepreneurship. The ages 18 to 21, we're going to teach them about investing and trust management and wealth building. Ultimately, we're going to teach these things. I wanted to show y'all this game, but it's in the other room. All right. All right, I can't get it. All right, so some of the books that I want you to write down is Rich Dad Poor Dad. Some of you may say, I got that game, I got that book. Well, how often are you playing it with your children? How often are you reading it to your children? Having it and knowing it and doing it is 3 different things. So I'm challenging you as you watch this training, as you go through this masterclass, let's start working through action. And our children, especially this generation, they learn by us. They learn by what we do. They are a see it to believe it generation. They hear, they learn, and they do. So if they just hear you talking about, I got that, and it's sitting on the shelf collecting dust, and you haven't pulled it out, we haven't had a family meeting ever. I don't have a business set up, and I don't even see you, dad or mom, with a business set up, but you're now at 21 telling me what I should do to get rich. You don't have good credit. You don't even have a good credit card. You don't even have one good credit card, but you want to teach me and tell me that you want the best for me when you're not doing it. So why you ain't doing it? That's how these kids talk now. I'm just telling you how they talk. So they want to know, well, why ain't you doing it? You telling me this is what I'm supposed to do. You telling me this is what Coach DeMont taught you on. You said we need to have a trust, and we need to start talking about investing. We need to start talking about money management, but you live in check to check. I need to start reading this book, but you've read it multiple times. It hasn't changed your life. Why do I want to read that book? That's how these kids think. I'm telling you, that's how they talk. So they got to see it. They got to see it by your actions. The Bible says, you know a tree by the fruit that it bears. So courses, enrolling them in courses, taking them to courses with you, taking them to masterminds and conferences with you, having a hands-on approach, not saying, I'm going to learn this information, take it back to my family. No. Y'all want to give me something for my birthday? I need all of y'all to come to this class, or let's go to this conference for my birthday. That's what I want. Don't give me nothing for Christmas. I want us to go, and I want us to learn this information. I want us to start a susu. I want us to put $200 into a susu every single month. Let's put it into a pool. And every single month, we're going to fund something for somebody in our family, whether it's a certification, whether it's a class, whether it's a teaching them something. Maybe they need to learn taxes so that they can help us with taxes. Maybe they need to go get their CDL so that they can help us. Maybe they need to go get their insurance license, so that maybe they need to go get their realtor's license, or we can take this money and invest. We are the highest consumers, but we don't own nothing. So saying we know something and not doing it is not helping our children. Not having any type of strategy in place for children that we have now put designer stuff on, and they're living based upon what they see on social media. That's not helping them. But teaching them how to be a boss, teaching them how to open up that app and showing them that 800 credit score, teaching them, hey, how to utilize these points for this travel, or how we go on this vacation, but we go on this vacation because we raised enough points on our credit in order to pay for this vacation. Or how we going to go to listen at this conference and stay off our phones because this man is going to show us how we can take our family to another level. So these are things. So there's a book. There's a game that Robert Kiyosaki has. It's called Cash Flow by Kids. When I study wealthy people, Like I was listening to Myron Golden. He said, as kids, we didn't have a TV with my kids because we didn't have enough money for no TV. We wasn't playing. We wasn't celebrating nobody else. We wasn't watching no movies. We wasn't watching no Super Bowl. We wasn't watching no NFL, NBA. We need to celebrate our own family, not the NBA family. We need to celebrate the Golden family, or the Coleman family, or the Hall family, or the Ross family, or the Howard family. We need to have our family name up there, and we ain't got no money. We don't need to be celebrating nobody. We need to be figuring out how we can get some money. So ultimately, they play this game with their kids because kids love to play games. You know, they love to play games. So we play this game, and over time, the information compounds. How to use cash. I still remember playing Monopoly, but imagine if you had been playing games like Cash Flow by Kids, or the Allowance Game, or Monopoly, or the bank. It's called the Bank of Mom and Dad, where parents act as if they the bank, and the kids borrow money, earn interest, and they learn about debt and how much money that can compound to. So imagine your kids saying, hey, mom, hey, dad, can I get blah, 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 blah? Yeah, you can borrow from the bank. Let's do a written agreement. Let's do a contract. And this is the interest. And the longer it takes for you to pay me off, this is what it occurs to. So the goal is to pay it off as soon as you can. And is this good debt or bad debt? So is this debt going to allow you to have fun, or is this debt going to make you more money? Because if it's going to make you more money, then it's an asset. If it's going to take from your money, then that becomes a liability. So then you're implanting in your children the difference between assets and liabilities at an early age. So now they think twice before buying assets. They think twice before buying liabilities. All right. Eliminate stand challenge. That's another a thing where kids create a real or pretend lemonade stand. They track the expenses and they calculate the profits. So that's another goal. All right. Shark Tank Kids. Shark Tank Kids is you can create this in your family. I'm giving you some ideas of some fun things to do. Kids pitch business ideas to the family members who act as investors. So now your children are learning how to pitch at an early age. Start a mini business. Let your child sell stickers or snacks, or I hear a lot of wealthy family. Mark Cuban said he used to go, get a bunch of candy from and a lot of us probably used to do it too, from Costco or Sam's, and take it to school and sell it. That's a business. But it's just a hustle if we don't have a business connected to it. So if we're not putting into a business account, if we're not tracking our profit and loss statement, if we're not knowing how much we pay for each one of those crackers, what our profit is on each one of those crackers, if we're not doing sales pitches and understanding how we can go from selling crackers to now selling and creating our own cracker and being actually the owner. So if we don't know how, if we're not learning how to scale throughout that process, then it's just a hustle. We're just teaching our kids how to work for somebody else. All right, the family business meeting. So role playing. So having family business meetings. So the kids now play the CEO or the CFO, or one day they may be the employee, or they're making financial decisions on their business. All right, then another way is what's called the budget battle. So this is where you give your kids $20. You challenge them to create a budget, and they pretend as if in the event as if they're shopping or doing an event. So how can you spread this $20? How far can it go? All right, so they understand the value of $1. And then another game is rich kid versus poor kid. So it's when you role play scenarios on making financial choices and discuss the outcomes. Another one that helps with stocks and investing is using real-time stock market apps like Stockpile or Investo Media Simulator, and practice investing. Get them a fake account. Teach them about candlesticks and teach them about the different companies, Tesla and Gucci and all these names you see your friends buy. We need to own shares in this company, so we actually own parts of this company. You want a car, you want a Mercedes, we need to own shares of Mercedes. We need to own shares of Ford. We need to own share. So teaching them those things, not waiting for them to be an adult to say, oh, go to business school. or go get a trade and thinking that they're going to learn this information. I don't think so. All right. All right. Another one is the dividend draft. That's where kids draft stocks and track one's pay to pay dividends over time. The next one is the real estate game. So we're gonna role play buying and renting out properties and earning passive income. So planting seeds into them about real estate so that they understand, hey, if I want to flip some money, I can flip some real estate, or I could flip some land, or getting them a dealer's license, they could flip cars, or whatever the case may be. All right, so I'm gonna show y'all this game. It's a good game. All right, so this is a good family game. All right, I suggest you get it. Go on Amazon. Don't buy it if you just go sit it in the closet. All right, it's a good family game. Cash Flow. It's called Cash Flow 101. Cash Flow 101, the game. It's a board game. So make your money work hard for you, so you don't have to work hard for money. So it's about Robert Kiyosaki. I'm actually designing a game. It's called the Tycoon game. That's one of my I'm working on right now. But Robert Kiyosaki, he has lots of games, cash flow for kids as well, if you want to dumb it down for your kids. So this is what the game looks like. All right. So ultimately, this is the blueprint. And the blueprint is you positioning yourself to make the conscious decision to learning information that can transform your family and can transform the narrative of your family. Mindset. Your beliefs create your reality. And when you teach your children this, and when you speak on these things, we're not poor, we're rich, but there's some things that we got to do. Wealth starts with the mind before your bank account. So financial literacy is where you're able to start investing as early as possible. So when you start teaching your kids, time is wealth. The earlier you invest, the better. To compound interest. Every child should know about compound interest. When they understand about that compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. That's what Albert Einstein called it. So real estate is the foundation of generational wealth. Learning how to leverage OPM, other people's money, teaching them stocks and crypto and real estate and all of the different risks and rewards. And you may say, well, my child's not interested. They're not interested because you haven't found the way to speak their language. And most of these kids, their language is making money. So if your child's not interested, well, if you had taught them this information growing up, they would be interested because they will understand this is a part of their life. This is a part of their DNA. This is how they're going to fulfill and be the next Elon Musk of the world. All right, understanding inflation and how that works. Understanding every dollar that you spend today costs you more in the future. Understanding investing and savings and your money needs to be somewhere working for you. Understanding business and entrepreneurship, understanding that the world pays for the value of innovation. So if you're innovative, the world will pay you, not just effort. The world doesn't pay you for effort. It pays you for innovation. Understanding business and ownership is the fastest way to wealth. Learning to sell. Everything in life is sales. So teaching them sales. When we do our monthly meetings, we're learning how to sell and how to pitch. Hey, you want sell me this car, sell me this remote. So teaching them how to sell instead of saying, oh, she's shy, leave her alone. No, she's shy, leave her alone ain't gonna help her in 21 years. She's shy, leave her alone is not gonna help her to be the next Oprah Winfrey. She shy, leave her alone ain't gonna help her to be the next Jeff Bezos. So what do you want for your children? Teaching them how to solve problems and how to make big money. Teaching them how to create businesses that run without you. A lot of us have businesses that can't run without us. That's not business. That's another form of slavery. That's another form of us exchanging our jobs for businesses that cannot work without us. If you can't measure it, you can't improve it. So you got to track your finances. Focus on scalability, on how this business grows without you. Scaling, systems, teaching them negotiation. Rich people negotiate everything. I've been at tables with them. They negotiate everything. Everything. Everything is negotiable. Teaching them time is more valuable than money. So use your time wisely. Teaching them time is more valuable than money. So use it wisely. Learning to focus. One good idea can make you billions of dollars. So don't dumb down your children's ideas. Those ideas could be businesses. Start them a business. Put those ideas under their business. They may have 5,000 ideas throughout their 21, 30 years. That's fine. Let's launch them all under one business umbrella. Let's try them. The average millionaire has failed thousands of times. So letting them know it's okay to fail. That's one intricate part of teaching your child the millionaire mentality. It's okay to fail. Plan their day the night before. So teaching them how to plan their days and how to be strategic. Avoid distractions like social media, unnecessary entertainment. These devices are controlling our children, and they're now being a slave to devices, and they're not getting anything done. Learning to delegate. You can't do everything yourself. Teaching them to take action and not to overthink things, just to jump. Teaching them to work hard, but work smarter. Working hard is not working harder. Working hard is working smarter. Teaching them to learn the power of automation and systems and passive income. Teaching them how to master the art of persuasion and influence. Teaching them the confidence of preparation. Teaching them how to learn to listen and teaching them listening skills, which means that in order to teach them listening skills, you have to listen to them. So you have to learn to be a better listener. You have to listen to the people around you. You have to listen to your spouse or your friends because they're picking up on everything. Life is teaching them the lesson. Your life is teaching them a lesson. Speaking with authority and clarity. Taking them into business meetings when you go. Your personal brand is your reputation. Everybody has a personal brand. Everybody. You have one. Your baby has one. Your children has one. Be kind. Teaching them how to be kind, even to the hostess or the host. Those are values that take them through life. Never chasing money. So if you teach them the value of never chasing money, they attract it with value and confidence. That's how wealthy people teach their children. Success is get your mind back, coach. It's coming. Success is about who you know and not who knows you. That's success. I'm almost done, but I'm teaching you the things that I've learned sitting at tables with millionaires and billionaires and kings and queens and people that got it out the mud. They weren't born with these things, but these were essential tools of what we should have learned in school, but we didn't. How can a teacher that doesn't know how they go pay their rent teach your child how to have a millionaire mindset? So treat every interaction as an opportunity to network. Every time we go somewhere, son, we networking. We go see who's in the room. Every time we go somewhere, daughter, we networking. These are people that we could build relationships with. These are people that we could build trust with. These are people that we could build integrity with. You don't need to be the smartest in the room. You just need to surround yourself with the right people. I watched the interview with Nipsey Hussle. They said, "Are you the smartest person in the room?" He said, "No." And if I am, I'm in the wrong room. So teaching them that confidence. Hey, you don't need to be the smartest person in the room. You need to go find other people that are smarter than you. You don't need to be a follower. You need to be a leader. Teaching them never spend more money than you earn. These are values, y'all. I'm giving you values that wealthy people teach. And you may say, "Coach, I'm not wealthy yet." The key word is yet. And you are wealthy. You are wealthy if it's in your mind. So if you start studying and writing these principles and putting them on Post-it notes and training your mind so that now your actions and your words are different. And when you get around your family, when they start doing things that families do, you're able to transform them. Hey, y'all, let's play this game. I got a prize. Anybody wins this game, I got $100 or a gift card. Hey, y'all, What if we started this fund so that all of the kids in our family can start going on, to a boot camp, and they can start learning more about business, or how to build YouTube pages, or how to build e-commerce platforms. Because there's some young kids out here, 17, 15, 18 years old, they multimillionaires. Kai Sit and all these people. So when you start studying these young kids that are in their early 20s and they are multi-millionaires, they've learned how to work smarter and not harder. Learning and teaching our children that delayed gratification. Teaching them don't buy liabilities, invest in assets. Teaching them to stay humble. Wealthy people don't flaunt money, they grow money. Teaching them to keep their emotions out of investing. In business, it's not about emotion. It's not personal. If I had learned this, a lot of relations, those of y'all that have been with me for years, y'all wouldn't have seen me go through a lot of business relationships that I've been through, because I would have understood that it's not personal, it's business. It's not emotional, but I grew up emotional. I grew up in an emotional household. I grew up in an emotional family. And I'm not going to say there's nothing wrong with it, because it is, but a person can only teach you what they know. So if I think that because I grew up in an emotional family, that when I start a business, it needs to be run by emotions because I taught myself business, then that's how I ran my business. Business is not built on emotions. It's built on business. So staying patient, teaching them how to take real risk, teaching them how to avoid debt that doesn't make you money. That's assets and liabilities. Teaching them how to track every dollar. You can't budget if you don't know where every dollar is going. Teaching them how that they can't buy. If they can't buy something twice, then they can't afford it. If they can't buy it twice, they don't need it. Teaching them to never stop learning. Wealth is a lifelong journey. It doesn't end when you graduate high school. It doesn't end when you get a master's degree. It doesn't end when you get a doctor's degree. Wealth is a lifelong journey. Teaching them money without wisdom is dangerous. You got to learn how to protect it. Teaching them how to set up a trust so that their kids are trust fund babies. Teaching them how to learn how to use life insurance. Teaching them how to avoid bad partnerships. Teaching them how to always plan for economic downturns, for recessions. Teaching our kids financial literacy so that they don't waste their wealth. 90% of NFL players and NBA players retire broke. We're teaching them how to win playing sports, how to get into the NBA, NFL, and still retire poor and broke. 90% of lottery winners are broke in 3 years. So it's not more money. Wealth is not about more money. It's about the mindset that we implement and put into our children. Teaching them to pay yourself first. Invest before spending. Teaching them to keep their wealth in their family. Don't sell generational wealth assets. Many of our families have sold farmland, have sold businesses, have sold grandma and grandpa's houses. And you go back to those neighborhoods and those houses are worth millions of dollars now. Imagine if those assets were inside of a trust and those dividends were being paid inside of a trust. That's generational wealth. Teaching them to make their money work for them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Teaching them money is abundant. So never operate out of scarcity. If you made it once, you can do it again. If you built it once, you can do it again. Your time and your time is the most valuable asset that you have. So spend it wisely. Spend your time wisely. Never depend on one income stream. And if you got a daughter, teaching your daughter, never depend on I can't say the word. Never depend on a person to take care of you. Be able to take care of yourself. Fear is normal. Just don't act out of desperate fear. Teaching them you are responsible for your financial future. No one else is. We cannot blame it on anyone else why we are where we are. Teaching them to stay away from negative people. Teaching them every decision compounds. So small choices end up being big impact. Teaching them to never stop asking, how can I grow? 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 Teaching them success is earned, is not given. Teaching them the best investment you ever make is the investment that you make inside of yourself. These are lessons that if we just teach our children, y'all, we would change generations. I do this because I spend so much time teaching. I spend so much time in this school. I spend so much time teaching because I pray that the adults will teach their children. That's my legacy. Teaching them money is just a tool to create opportunities. Teaching them we invest money and we make it grow. Teaching them we create wealth by providing value. Teaching them I am in control of my financial future. I'm never going to say to my child, we can't afford it. I'm never going to say to my child, rich people are greedy. Or they just have it because they this or they that. No, they work for it. Or they made some good decisions. As long as they didn't steal it or do nothing illegal or scam to do it, then don't ever talk down on someone else that's wealthy to your child. Or that's too expensive. That's a poor mindset. That's poor talk. That's limiting creativity. That's called limited beliefs. So a lot of times we're taught limited beliefs between the ages 1 to 12. Teaching them, I'll never be rich. You'll be rich, but I'll never be. If you don't feel like you're gonna be rich, mom and dad, why you feel like I'm gonna be rich? Why don't you want to be rich? So mindset is one of the most important things. So ultimately, hopefully in this training, you have learned some essential tools that can help you to take your life to another level, that can help you to start speaking on another level, that can help your children to start teaching your children and your family on another level, for you to start planning family days, for you to start a pool, which it's called a susu. A susu is when everybody puts into the pool, and we take out of that pool and we put it towards someone's idea, someone's strategy, or someone's investment, and we put a pool of money together and we just keep compounding it over and over and over. So we're investing in each other. That's called a susu. So taking the time to, hey, let's do game night. Let's do game night at my house once a month. And you tricking your family into teaching them about cash flow and about investments and about real estate. So if we got kids in our family, we got some work to do, y'all. We owe this to the people that are coming behind us. The Bible says to leave an inheritance for your children and your children's children. It said a good man leaves an inheritance for your children and your children's children. So if you're a good man or you're a good woman, I'm saluting you. But it's not just about talking no more. It's about doing. It's not just about saying what you go do. It's about action. It's not just about giving your kids and giving them a good education and not giving them a good foundation. So I'll see y'all in the next training. Everybody, thank you for jumping on the Tycoon Masterclass. I'll see you in the next training. Make sure you go to my YouTube, Coach Demont, subscribe. I'll be doing trainings every single day. I'm on a 40-day fast, so I decided I'm going to do trainings every single day for 40 days. So go to my YouTube, Coach Demont, subscribe, and like my videos. I'll see y'all inside our trust funds. Trust fund babies.